Hi everybody, it's Alexa here from Pages of Forbidden Love, and I'm here to talk about my November to be read pile. So first up, let's go through the things that I have to read because they're for review and I really kind of need to get them done. First up, once again, is Dark Heroine. I feel like I've been talking about this book a lot and been talking about it a lot instead of reading it, so I really need to read this one. And then a book that I was asked by Penguin to review, but I haven't actually gotten the copy of it yet, is Reflected in You, which is the second book to the Crossfire series, which the first one was, oh goodness, for some reason I'm having a big blank. The first one was Bared to You. There we go. And that's by Sylvia Day. So if that one comes in the mail, sometime this month, then I'm going to be reading that, and if for some reason it doesn't show up, then I guess it's not going to be on my reading list. Another one that I got for review that I need to read is Burning Up. This is an adult romance book, actually, and it has a really cool cover on it, but they didn't send me the cover flat for the book, so it's just the art copy, but if you want to check out the copy, the cover of it, I think I posted it in last month's reading pile because I was trying to read this last month, but it didn't happen, so here we are again with the same book. Again, I feel like I keep having to read the same books because I didn't read them in October. And Deity, which was also one of my October ones that I didn't get to, but it is being reviewed for a tour in the very beginning of November here, so I do have to read this one now, and I really am excited to read it anyway. I've been wanting to read the third book ever since I read Pure, which was like at the beginning of this year. So yeah, I have waited almost an entire year to read this book, so I better just get on it already. After that, the reads that I'm going to show you next are kind of just reads that I'm hoping to get through. So there's about 4 books that I really must get through, and then the other ones are kind of ones where if I have time, I'll hopefully read it. We'll see. First up is actually a review copy, but this does not release until January, so there's really no technical point in me reading it here in November, but I am in love with this series. This is Crimson Frost. It is the 4th book in the Mythos Academy series. I love Gwen, and I love Logan. I will say it again, I love Logan, so I cannot wait to read more about him and Gwen and all their adventures in this book. So if I have time, I'm probably going to be fitting this in before January rolls around when I actually have to read it for. Next up, for the 22 on 22 readathon that was in honor of Bianca's birthday, I actually picked up the first book in the Vampire Academy series, which is Vampire Academy, because it had been sitting on my shelf for years and I had never bothered to read it, and it is one of Bianca's favorite books, so in honor of her birthday during that readathon, I read the first book. And then it was so good that I read Frostbite, which is the second book in the series, right after that. And now I really, really, really want to read book 3, which is Shadow Kiss. So we'll just have to see if I can make time to read this one because it is it's like one of the longer books in the series. Yeah, it's like 450 pages, which is like 100 pages more than the first 2 books were. So it is a bit hefty of a book, so we'll see if I can actually make time to read this one or not. And 2 more that I'm trying to read before they're actually due back at the library in about a week and a half from now is 12 Shades of Surrender. This is actually just a collection of like erotic stories. It's a collection of 12 stories, that's why it's 12 Shades to Surrender, by different kind of authors. Some of them are kind of big name ones in kind of the adult romance genre, and other ones are kind of new that I've never heard of before. And most of the time I really don't like reading anthology type of books because the stories are really short. I mean, how can I really get connected to characters in 30 pages or 40 pages, whatever? But I kind of like to read these every once in a while just because it can open you up to some new authors, some new writing styles, or just sometimes you want to read something quick that's not going to take you, a whole like week to get through, like a 400-page book. So, I mean, this is a 400-some page book, but I can kind of stop and pick and choose what stories I want to read out of here if I don't want to read all of them. But I actually started reading this one during the readathon, and so I am already 170 pages into it, so I figured I might as well just keep going, keep trying out some more stories from this. And then last is Broken. I have never read anything by Megan Hart, And I've kind of always been a little bit afraid to, because I think her stories, although they do fall into the adult romance category, that they're always kind of a little bit weird, like they're always kind of a little bit off romance topics, I guess. Like in this one, she has a husband, but her husband unfortunately got in some type of accident, and he is unable to feel anything from like the neck all the way down. So obviously he can't do as many things as he used to be able to do with her and their life in general. And so she kind of like starts meeting with this one friend of hers. I think his name is Joe. Yeah, Joe. She meets with Joe every month, and he tells her kind of like a story about something that happened in like one of his relationships or one of his flings with a woman. And she gets kind of, you know, turned on by these stories, and she kind of like says that each month her name is different because she's imagining herself as the women that Joe is having flings with. So even though she's married and she's not technically having a fling, she's kind of having a fling in her mind. I don't know. So this is what I'm talking about. The story is not necessarily something that you would generally read in adult romance because it sounds a little bit different than most adult romance stories. Anyway, there is that. And if you have read any of these books, or if you have actually read books by Megan Hart that you really liked, I'm willing to take suggestions for this author. I really want to read her stuff, but I'm not really sure what book is best by her, maybe what I should start with, what I should avoid, things like that. So I hope all of you have an awesome November and a very good Thanksgiving, and maybe a Thanksgiving break. I know some of you go to school and everything, so I'm actually looking forward to those couple days off and away from school. So hopefully I will get all 8 of these books read this month. We'll see how I do. Alright, if you have a TBR Pile video or post, be sure to tell me below in the comments, and I will come check it out. Bye guys!